Hello, folks. Good evening. You're welcome to another edition of Just Banter. Tonight, we have a very special guest on the show, and she's really special because she decided that she was going to come back, give us her time again, because she was supposed to be our guest on the last show. So that's pretty amazing that she could take out so much time to join us this time around to talk about the issues that we were talking about before, which is youth empowerment, the role that the youth play in Nigerian society, and the challenges that the youth are going through, what they're encountering. But a lot has happened in the meantime when we talk of what's going on in Nigeria, particularly, and especially when it comes to the issue of security. Now, for security, everybody knows it's a major, major challenge in Nigeria right now. It's a serious matter. But what exactly has led to this insecurity? It's the same thing we've been talking about. The fact that the youth do not have something to do. And decade has become so bad. But they're knocking on people's doors in cities like Kaduna, in cities like Zaria, and actually going to abduct people from their homes. Last week, 43 people were slaughtered on a farm. And of course, we all heard exactly what Mr. Garba Shehu said, who was the presidential aide on communications or information or whatever it is that he is. I just don't like to remember some of the things that man said. But basically, it was a case of he did not get it right at all when he was making that communication. And a lot of things need to change when it comes to government's responsibility towards the people. Until things change at the government level, things might be pretty difficult to change at the basic level, where the ordinary man works on a daily basis. So in that light, a lot of young people have started coming up and started forming non-governmental organizations, reaching out to people and trying to help people out of the dilemma and the hardships that they have found themselves living in Nigeria. One of those people is Splendor Onuma. Splendor founded an NGO that has been doing a couple of wonderful things. And guess what? People are recognizing her for what she's doing. She's got tons and tons and tons of awards. Excuse me. I'm not sure how many she's gotten so far. I think maybe she's doing like 300 now, or something funny like that, because it seems every other week, Splendor seems to be getting an award. The latest one that she's on right now is actually she's working on raising funds for the deaf and trying to get them, tools to help them be able to engage with other people in society without necessarily feeling disadvantaged or disabled. Now I'm going to bring into the studio, or onto the screen rather, Splendor Onuma. Hi Splendor, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. You've gotten like 300 awards and you're laughing. I don't get it. How did you manage to do all that?
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Good.
Yeah. So I said I was just telling the viewers that you've gotten like maybe 300 awards or something along those lines. And we were wondering how you've managed to be able to get an award practically every other week. You're doing fantastic. You're doing amazing things. So first things first, the viewers
Thank
of
you
course would
so
like
much.
to
I'm
know
honored.
who is Splendor Onuma. Tell us a bit about your foundation.
My name is Splendor Ifuma Onuma. I'm the founder of Splendid Dreams Youth Empowerment and Entrepreneurship Initiative. We cater for those in special need, the deaf, the youth, and then the girl child. We take them on skill acquisition, mentorship, empowerment, and we try to engage them afterwards. I studied business admin. I'm a young girl doing my best every day.
Oh wow. So now, initially our first contact was over, I think it was the campaign against rape, where we were talking about children and how vulnerable they were. And then I now decided to just do a little bit of background research, and we found you doing so many other things. I mean, you were doing so many campaigns at the same time. Where do you get the energy from? What inspires you to do all these things?
You see, the let's talk about the rape thing. It's not something one wants to listen to because it's really alarming and it's something the government, we as an individual need to work and correct. I I personally am a girl. Growing up, they tend to tell us that if you dress indecent, people tend to approach you wrongly, you get abused and molested. But I see little girls, 2 years, 3 years, being raped. I don't know what they flaunt, what people see in them, which is really crazy. But then I stand to advocate for that, and I'm pleading if there's any way the government can enforce a law for the girl child. I mean, that could reduce that, because when you know what awaits you when you do certain things, you'll be guided. So
Yeah, but when you say that, it brings to mind a certain law that was passed in was it Kano State or was it Katsina State, where they said if you rape a child and all that, you will be castrated. What are
beautiful.
your thoughts?
I think in Kaduna State, I think it was Aerofy that did that, that said that.
Yeah, you think that is correct?
That's a beautiful one. I like that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
But you see, it's a very dicey thing, especially because in a country where you don't have, deep investigative processes and all of that, some people could actually just, frame somebody, just claim that the person did something, and before you know what's going on, that person is convicted and that person is castrated. So I actually thought that was a very harsh thing to do.
There should be proper investigation before any act, right? Before
Yeah.
any punishment. Like the one I heard, my friend witnessed was at Dusi Alaji. They were at the field watching football, and there was a small girl. I think she was selling something. I can granite or something. A man called her into the classroom and raped her. She was crying. I think they were passerbys who noticed something fishy was going in, and then they stopped by, and the man was still on top of the girl, and she was dying in silence. So such kind of act, it's already obvious, like you've seen it. You don't need witness around, you don't need eyewitness around, so that can be punished immediately. you know they try to beat the guy before the police intervene. So there are deep things, and especially in the north, I don't know why. I really do not know why. It's something we all need to look into and correct.
Did you grow up in the north or you have any affiliation with the north?
Yes, I grew up in the north. I was born in Nasarawa. I schooled in Kaduna. Yes, I
Oh,
visited most
okay.
countries, most states because of my humanitarian activities.
Oh, so you know quite a bit about what's going on in northern Nigeria.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So a lot of people have a lot to say when it comes to Nigeria and what you call social services. A lot of people don't even know what social services are because it has never been a part of the Nigerian culture. Well, in the structured way, that is, because we have an informal social structure in Nigeria or a social support system where people can reach out to their family members, reach out to friends and ask for help. I can't pay my rent or I can't pay school fees or my son is ill or my daughter is ill, that kind of stuff. And they appeal to other people and then they're able, to get some form of assistance. But people don't really know what it means to have a social service. And that's why NGOs like yourself have come up and they are beginning to do quite a lot in the Nigerian landscape. Now, how did you start and how do you finance all of what you're doing?
Okay. I started 2017. The thing is, it has been my passion to reach out. Growing up, my dad saw that in me. May his soul rest in peace. He saw that in me. He has been pushing Splendor. This is your calling. Because you see me gather people, feed them, talk to them, train them at a very young age. So I was doing that. So officially, 2017, I received an award because my dad saw this opportunity of paint production. So he told me I should go for it. And I was like, I have two brothers. They should go. Why me? He said, you should go. So when I got there, before I got there, I called my friends, a couple of them, babe, there's this opportunity. Let's go and learn something to be skillful. They were like, it's not their thing. They are not cut out. They don't want to go into it. So I just
Yeah.
had to go because of my dad. When I got there, I was the best because I was the only lady at first. There were so many guys for the paint production training. I was shy at some point. So the director noticed that I was the only, she just had to bring me close. After the whole thing, I received an award for paint production. So when I started, I was like, whoa, I need to start bringing youth together to train, bringing people together. So That was how I started. I never knew I could expand. One thing I tell myself is, and I tell my friends, is determination leads to success. Always challenge yourself, always think out of the box. That could bring out the hidden potentials in you. So when I started, I registered 2017. I started with the youth because I know the major problem is unemployment. That is what the youth are facing.
Yeah.
So I'm a youth and it was not easy for me. I don't want to talk about that. So I said, okay, fine, let me bring the youth together, Muslim, irrespective of their religion. So I was training them. I take pictures. So my lawyer, a friend of mine that is a lawyer, called me that this thing you're doing, he sees the atom of humanitarian in me. And I said, yes. He said, okay, fine, let's get it registered. And then he will guide me through. So I registered the company. I told my dad, he was like, go. And when you go to the CSE, ask for further questions on registration. So I was taking it bit by bit. I started fully in 2018. Well, when I was registered, I started grouping people together, training them. I have trained a lot of youths in Nigeria, and I'm proud of that. A lot of youths are working with my idea, with my skill that I impacted on them. Most of them call me, come and take this quotation, and they make money from it. So I got recognized. I had to incorporate the widows as of
Yeah.
2019. I incorporated the widows. I take them on different vocational trainings. So that's how I started. And to God be the glory. Today I'm here. I've done a whole lot. I have an office. I've been getting support from trustees, good spirited individuals, and personally.
So you get your finance from trustees, well-meaning
God of truth.
individuals, and yourself. So does that mean you have another business?
Yes, I do. I'm a business consultant. NGO is not a job. It's just how do I put it, is a charitable act or charitable way of extending for me. How do I put it, I'm using it a way to serve God, bringing people together, bringing hopes together, bringing lives together. So it's not a job. It's not like it's a career. You're doing NGO. That's what you do for life. There are other things you do to finance, to push, and to fund the NGO. If you say you're running an NGO, you don't have money, you don't have source of income. At some point, you'll be disorganized. You'll be discouraged to continue. But when you have something that fuels what you're doing, trust me, you'll be happy doing what you're doing. So if anybody wants to start an NGO, you should have something, a residual income at that.
Yeah. Okay. So now a lot of people think that running a non-governmental organization or a charity is a full-time job. Now, where I live, we do see people that are employed full-time by all these charitable organizations and they get paid, a standard remuneration just like working anywhere else. Of course, that takes quite a long time, to establish or get that type of foothold. But you have been able to do so much in such a short time. You already started in 2017. And by 2020, you have collected all the awards that are readily available, so to speak. Now, in a country where people pay for awards, it says a lot about you that you're actually getting recognized by people for doing the right thing. In a country where most people are hailed as nearly God Almighty for doing the exactly wrong thing. So, why do you think you stand out? Why do you think that that's happening?
It's because for me, it's passion driven. I'm not in any competition with any NGO. I'm just doing the best every day. I'm taking it one step at a time. I'm not rushing. I'm not competing. I'm just doing my best because this is my purpose on earth, to reach out to people, to share my ideas with people. So I do that free with a free mind. I think that's why people get, I don't even, sometimes they call me that you've been nominated for an award. I don't even know who nominates me, right? I don't know. People see my good act, what I do, and personally I just do it and expect nothing in return.
Well, we found it pretty amazing because that's one of the things, that said, okay, you know what, we need to ask her a few questions and we need other people to hear. And if anybody's what, if anybody has any questions, any of the viewers, please send in your comments and I'm sure Splendor will be happy to answer any one of them. So we had to ask you, how come? Because like I said, people don't get recognized for what they do. So somebody is a contestant in Big Brother Nigeria, and then at the end of it, he wins maybe like 50 million, 70 million, that kind of funny thing. And then you have a graduate who does first class, in a university, and then a bank is giving that person 10,000 naira. So it's not a society where people recognize people for doing the right thing or for doing the, good thing. So it's amazing that you are actually doing this and then you're getting all these awards.
I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah. So now recently you launched something which is a drive, to raise funds and try to reach out to the hard of hearing in Nigeria. People call them deaf, but they're hard of hearing. Basically, that's what it is. It's a major disability because I mean, I love the fact that I can hear myself and I can hear you and I can hear other people talk on a daily basis. But a lot of people don't have that luxury. And you've gotten up now and you said, you know what, I need to do something for these people. What has led to that?
Okay, my girlfriend, she's my best friend. She has hearing problems and has it from
Okay.
birth. She does a lot. She's very creative. She's very skillful. She does painting, art. Like I give it to her when it comes to art and painting. And then my manager of my organization, his son has a hearing problem. And then I find it difficult to communicate with them because I don't understand the sign language. So, and she told
Mm-hmm.
me if I pull up, because sometimes I used to tease her, I'll try to remove the hearing aid and see if I can talk loud to her hearing, but she doesn't hear. So I see those two people around me, and these are people I work with every day. I see them every day. So my manager was like, he wants to surprise me. He took me to their community. Can you hear me? Hello? Ah, hello? Habib, can you hear me? Whoa. Wow. Habib, can you hear me? What's going on? Hope I've not lost him. Hello, Habib.
Hi, Samantha.
Okay.
Sorry, you seem to be stopping the same pace that I just suffered a few, 2, 3 minutes ago, which was NEPA
This is
doing that.
Nigeria.
This is Nigeria, So I mean, even with the generators and all of that, it still just knocks you off balance. But I guess what can we do? We just have to keep going. We just have to keep trying and then give it our
Sure,
best shot.
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So NEPA is taking your own life as well.
Yeah, they did. But you
Yeah.
can see me, right?
Oh yeah, you're still live. You know.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So we can see you. So now things like this, highlight the challenges that you have in a country like Nigeria. You now have to start asking yourself, when you have this type of challenges and stuff like that, how do you even manage to make progress?
Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Say that again, sorry.
I said, when you have this level of challenges in Nigeria, how do you manage to make progress?
What challenges, please?
Things like NEPA taking lights, and all of that.
For me, I'm used to it. This is Nigeria, you can't help it. I was
Yeah, but
surprised when, yeah,
it's very frustrating because it means that
it's really,
your overheads when you're doing business I mean, they skyrocket. They are exceptionally high.
it's, I went to Ghana. Trust me, all my states here, I go back. I don't think they blinked the light. I don't even want to go into that. I don't want to deviate because it's something I'm used to, right? So if you're living in Nigeria, you should be used to this. Just try to improvise and move. There's this NSAS slogan, we move.
Yeah, but you see, when you keep saying you move, what that basically signifies is that people are not ready to take on the government anymore. People are not ready to start asking questions of their of their elected officials. They've just said that, what, you guys do your thing, we do our thing. So why did they bother to even have them at all in the first place?
Who would it get to if you try to express yourself, if you try to make some observation, some things that are
Mm-hmm.
going wrong, where would it get to? Because personally, where would it get to? So instead of, you just do the best you can and move, trust me. In order not to affect you as an individual or frustrate you, you just try to give happiness a chance. You try to move, you try to improvise. You and I just did now. You can see me. I've just helped myself, you know,
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, because you spend so much in trying to even provide electricity for yourself.
and you don't get it
Every
at the end of the day.
you don't get at the end of it. You try to give yourself electricity, you go and buy petrol today, you have it now, develop a budget, and then from nowhere, they increase the price of petrol. You open an office, and then one day, you are in Abuja, the likes of AMAC will come to your office, they'll seal it up and say that you're not paying some certain taxes or whatever, whatever. Things are not on the books, and then they seal up your premises. Everybody expecting to be able to extort you one way or the other. Now, do you think that these types of things happening is actually because a lot of people are not self-employed? And I'm talking of the youth particularly, because a lot of them seem to lack the skills to be able to do something for themselves.
So now the thing is, major emphasis are on the white collar job. Most youth don't want to get dirty in practical works, right?
Okay.
They just want to look good like you and work. They don't want to be casual. They don't want to do certain things to get money. And trust me, I keep telling the youth when I address them, nobody should tell you to be successful or useful in the society. It has to come from you, right?
Yeah,
Because
you have to be yourself.
persistency and courage is required to become an entrepreneur or to become useful in the society. So things like that, I mean, the problem of the country basically are unemployment and then corruption. This is something we hear every day. This is something that keeps occurring, every time. So other issues are inability to access fund. That's for the youth. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Inability to access fund, and also high rates, high interest rates, and then tax, like you mentioned. You see,
Yes.
somebody just start up something and then FIRS will just come. You know, they usually allocate people to go around, collect tax and all of that. And you're just a startup. So if they can be collecting tax from 5 years above, like your business has peaked at that period, at that stage, it would be better. But they just come around and tell you need to do this, and then they open a book for you, so they know where you don't pay, and then I think there's a fine to late payment or late renewal or something. So it's really discouraging. It affects people, it affects business or entrepreneurs or those who intend to venture into business, right?
Yeah, but there's a new law out now where a startup business or a freshly registered business is tax free for the first 3 years before they now start.
Hello? Whoa. Can you hear me?
And it keeps reoccurring. So now it is a case of is your internet connection that is the issue. So if it's not electricity, it's internet connection. If it's not internet connection, it's petrol. If it's
It's
not
fuel
petrol, it's
price.
staff. If it's not, so the issues are there. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
The issues are there. The issues are, they are massive. They are large. Now, one of our guests is asking, frozen? As in, like, what's going on? Why is the screen frozen? Those are part of the challenges. Those are the part of Now, there's no enabling environment, like you were mentioning earlier on, for young people to be able to even start up their own small businesses and then be able to do something for themselves. The unemployment rate is astronomical. So even if they do acquire these skills, where do you suggest that they start from?
Whoa. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, if you can hear me. Hello, Splendor. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you. So the internet connection again. But anyways, people like Sender have been doing things, they've been training people, and a lot more others have been looking at ingenious ways of trying to create social enterprises. We've read of quite a few of them, and hopefully we'll be able to bring one or two of them online at some point so that we can continue this particular conversation because, like we always say, things need to change. Hi, Splendor, are you back? Hello, Splendor, can you hear me? So Splendor seems to be having some technical issues. I have no idea what the technical issues are at the other end because we can see her, but we can't hear her. But as I was saying earlier on, a lot of people have come up with ingenious ideas, setting up social enterprises, and trying to find ways to empower people. A lot more people need to do that. But in as much as a lot more people are trying their best to do those kind of things, people still need to call the government to accountability because how do you create an enabling environment? How does somebody acquire a skill and then the person is able to be able to put those skills to use, to be able to be productive and to be able to generate revenue and then be able to pay taxes to the government so that the government can continue to improve on the services? It is supposed to be a symbiotic relationship. But for some strange reason, it just seems like the government is not bothering about things like that. And we keep asking ourselves, is it a case of people are not asking the right questions? Hi, Splendor. Okay, you have to unmute your microphone because we can't hear you.
Can you hear me
Okay.
now?
Yes, we can hear you now. So we're sorry you're having technical issues. It seems to be a standard thing for us in this part of the world. But Eddie, while we lost you there, I was saying to the guests, to the viewers, that people are acquiring skills, but there's no enabling environment for people to use these skills. With the challenges that you have seen on ground in Nigeria, you've been to several states, where do you think people can start from after they have acquired those skills?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So my question was, where do you think people can start from after they have acquired those skills?
Okay. You see, for one to get to the top, you start from the bottom. When
Okay.
you acquire skill, you try to start from your environment, your neighborhood, and then take it up from there. You can start small and get to the top, correct?
Okay.
Most of the
Yeah.
skill I train the youth, like the paint production, I told them upload on your status, talk to your friend, do a free sample, and it grows from there. People I know, they don't know. People you know, I don't know. So you try to market yourself, market your product, and it goes on from there. I was gonna say something before, I don't know, it went off.
Okay.
Hello? Whoa.
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So to your question, people can start at this at the in the scratch at the scratch from where they are and with what they have. And trust me, they will leave the level to the next level when they believe and when there's consistency and persistence.
Okay, so when you talk of things like free samples, for instance, I used to run a wrought iron business before, a long time ago, maybe about 18 years ago. I could not afford to do free samples for anybody because I wasn't making enough to be able to do free samples. And I'm sure right now that things are much worse, in the country, especially when it comes to the economy and all of that. People are not able to come up with enough money to even be able to do samples. How do they manage that?
That's when the picture story comes in. I could I could want to show you, my client. I could show you pictures that these are my job, this is what I do, this is what I have. What do you want? Choose from here. So when you make commitments, I'll get some for you. So the sample thing, it doesn't relate to every business. It's just paint,
Yeah.
because there are so many competition, so many paints companies around. So that's what you need of sample. So you try to show your client that you're the best, your product is it's selling and it's very, very nice. But then to yours, you could just show pictures and then the client get to choose, pick the one he likes, and then he drops a commitment, pay you part payment or something, and then you get the work get started. So it's not all you drop samples, correct? It's not all
Oh, yeah.
businesses you drop sample. Some
Yeah,
is just
I know.
picture story.
Hmm. So, because when I started, I actually went to get magazines that had a lot of wrought iron stuff in it and all that. And it was a case of I had to gain the trust of people before people were able to give me the type of jobs that I could now sit back and say, okay, yes, I'm earning a living. But initially, when I first started, it wasn't that easy at all because nobody knew you, nobody could trust you enough. Although I was lucky, I would say, probably because I had an education, so it was easier for me to be able to talk my way through, as opposed to somebody that did not have the type of education that I had, who was just maybe a secondary school leaver. He was not eloquent. He was not able to express himself or be able to market himself adequately. Now, these are all related challenges to being able to employ yourself in a country where there's anathema towards work. A lot of young people we have seen, a lot of young people don't want to go through all the steps that you have mentioned. A lot of them just want to get up, do something, and they're driving a Rolls Royce the next day. That's what a lot of them look for. So anytime I see people, yeah, it's true. Anytime I see people who actually do take out their time to say, you know what, I will train young people. And it's not like they're earning a living from training those young people. Trust me, I have a lot of respect for them. But then, is it a case of you've been talking about the paint business, are you building a network of painters around your business by training these people and let them go and get jobs, and then you supply them the paint and then they do the jobs? How do you do it?
Okay, I've been emphasizing on the painting thing.
Yeah,
We do a whole
yeah.
lot of skill acquisition. We do wallpaper installation. We do paint production. We do
Mhm.
graphics. We do photography. We do self-defense. We do branding. And then we
Self defense.
incorporated the agriculture. Self-defense for male and female. This taekwondo thing. Can you hear me?
Are you kidding me?
Yes.
What
Yes.
brought
You know
about
I'm
self
about.
defense?
You said?
What brought about self defense?
It's for women because they tend to be encouraged. People tend to, it makes them stand out. You don't need to encourage on the right. And then, for me, let me not brag before they come to my house. So it helps them in school because the male child tend to abuse them. They tend to look for their trouble. So, it's not everybody you do that to. So we try to engage them in that. Also, the youth. Can you hear me?
How did you get into self defense?
A friend of mine is a biker, and then that's what he does. He said that's the only thing he can bring to use to support my organization. So, and I just posted it, who is interested, and I got lots of people, women at that. So many women were interested. I don't know why.
No, but I mean,
So we
self
started
defense is very good.
Saturdays. You said?
Self self defense is very good because I mean, it boosts the confidence, your self confidence,
Yes,
and then of course when it
yes.
comes to the security issue, as in you're able at least to defend yourself to a certain
You
extent.
defend yourself. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm
So
just
we do.
amazed.
So we do a whole lot of that. So not just painting, because I think I've been emphasizing on the painting. So what we do after training, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah, you go ahead.
After training them, we write to companies that do similar things. Take for instance, barbing. After the barbing skill, when we finish training them on that, we go to barbing salons and write to them. So we bring them in as interns. So they learn and perfect their skill. We empower them. So you can decide to retain them or you bring them back to us and then they source for job themselves. And then we try to empower them to start little from their friends, they post, they get a small space and continue from there. So different skill, different obligation and tax.
So what you guys do is more or less like a 360 thing. So you actually source for people, train them, let them acquire skills. You boost their self confidence by giving them things like self defense classes and all of that. And
Yes.
then now you start looking for jobs for them.
Yeah, that's what we do.
So that's probably why you're successful at what you're doing because you're actually providing an end to end service for people.
Sure.
Wow, that's amazing. You're probably the first person that I've spoken to who is doing something like that. So, like I said, we've been wondering how come she's getting so many awards. What's the secret to that?
It's just to
So we
think out
probably
of the
know the secret
box.
now. Yeah, but people keep talking about thinking out of the box. In a lot of cases, there's no box. You know what I mean? So when they
Yeah.
say think out of the box, I think it's an overrated phrase. You thinking out of the
Challenge
box because
yourself. Be creative.
that
Be
sounds much
strategic.
more like it. Yeah, that sounds much more like it for me. I like to challenge myself. I like to do things I've never done before, and I've done so many of those things I've never done before, or rather, so many of those
Nice.
things that ordinarily I would never have thought I would do in my life. This is one of them. Because the funny thing is, I
Oh,
could be very shy, so I could sit in front of people and talking was something that I found a bit, weird to do. But I just knew I had to start from somewhere at some point.
sure. Sure.
And then, like I told you before, I had a wrought iron business way, way back. And that wrought iron business, initially, I found it very difficult to go out to market to people. So I used to always wait to find somebody that knew somebody that was willing to introduce me. And once the ice was broken, then I'll be able to talk and then say something about what it was that I was doing. But it was very difficult at that at the starting stages. But much later on, when things picked up, I was living a very happy
You,
life. As a matter of fact, it
business,
became
starting a
regularly.
business.
It became residual income, as a matter of fact, because
Nice, nice,
for,
amazing.
for, for like 5, 6 years after I actively left the business, I was still earning a living, or rather earning
Whoa,
income, not earning a living. I was still earning an income from it for about 5, 6 years, because a lot of
nice.
people were still sending me messages. They needed this done, they needed that done, and I was lucky enough that I had a welder who had basic training, very little education, and I was able to mentor him to the point where he became a certified welder.
Whoa,
You need to see his LinkedIn profile. I mean, my LinkedIn profile pales in comparison to his own LinkedIn profile, because the
whoa.
guy has really stepped up himself and all that. And he's one of my proudest achievements. So I can imagine how you feel, doing this for so many people. I can see why
I
you're
feel
inspired to do
fulfilled.
it. Yeah, I mean, we can tell from your smile. You're really smiling. You have a big smile, and you look relaxed. So that means
Yeah,
your passion is paying off. You're happy doing what you're doing, and
sure,
it's worth it for you.
sure.
Now, we will have to cut our show short because of all these technical issues, and all of that, because it's breaking the sequence of our banter. Because our banter usually is a flow,
Okay.
and even though we have been trying to maintain the flow and keep it going, but we are losing viewers because they're getting tired of it going in and out. And for me, those are my customers, those are my people. They are the ones I'm here to satisfy. And I wish I could do much more than we are doing right now. There's one thing that everybody would like to know. How can they start supporting organizations like yourself to be able to propel all these type of social activities forward? Because these things are so important, because people need to be employed. If there's a high employment rate, you have low crime rates, and then people will feel more, safe. They feel more secure. People will be able to go out when they want to go out without
Sure.
fear or favor. How can they engage organizations like yourself and be able to contribute towards it?
Is to have a meeting. Like personally, I've got lots of call questions. They want to have a meeting with me. What can they do? And that's why I brought about agriculture. We incorporated that because a lot of people talk about agriculture, and I like, okay, fine, that's fine. Anything that has to do with youth empowerment, get the youth engaged. Because that's a lot of people say, I see some organization, they are trying to eradicate poverty, eradicate unemployment. It's not possible. You cannot eradicate
Yeah.
poverty in Nigeria. You can reduce it,
Yes,
and then
true.
unemployment can be reduced but can be eradicated.
Yeah,
Even most
Cameron, yes,
developed
true.
countries, most the USA have unemployed youth too, but it's not as
Oh,
alarming
yeah.
as Nigeria. Let me not digress. So we could go into partnership collaborations. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Physical meeting, visual like this, and see how we can engage the youth. Because some of the youth, trust me, they have the zeal to succeed, but they have little or no support. Startups like you had, you were doing well at some point. I was even going to say something to what you were doing. You don't have to depend on somebody to start. No, believe in yourself. Thank God for social media. You could just snap your job, snap anything or what you can do and upload, and people tend to question you, ask you question. It all depends on you to defend it and tell people you can deliver, you can do this. All right. So a lot
Yeah.
of youths that I've trained, they are doing really well. I have their contacts, I have their names. There are certain places I don't even go now because when I go, they tend to give me free gifts, and I don't want that. I'm just happy they are doing, because a lot of people, when you empower them, they just, since it's free, they just feel reluctant, they just keep it there. But me personally, we have this monitoring and evaluation. I allocate some
Okay.
team members to go and see what they are doing in various communities. I go down to the grassroots. There are some communities I don't know it exists in Abuja, but I've gone, like, I have some pictures on my wall, so we can go into partnership, collaboration, have a physical meetings, and see what we can do for the development of humanity.
So all the people that have been supporting you, because you mentioned, for instance, that you have a biker friend. I know you are a biker yourself. I don't know if you're still
Yes.
active on the bike. So I know you said one of your supporters, the person that trains people on self-defense, is a biker. The people that are doing trainings on the likes of agriculture or the likes, where are they from? What qualifies them to
We
train
have
people?
we have different skill, different resource persons. They come to the office, we interview them, we want to see what they've done previously. They have to show us pictures, and we'll do a test for them. We'll take them to the
Oh
field.
wow.
You don't just come tell us we can do this. No, we don't work on that. We love practical things. Show us your picture. Let's go to the field and see. And then afterwards, we engage them, because I don't want to bring the youth and then they don't get what they want, because I keep them morning till evening. When you enjoy what you're doing, you don't mind time. So what
Oh
I
yeah.
do, each of my training, I prepare well for them. There's refreshment, there's a notepad and all, and the resource persons are available. So after which they get the training, we take it up from there. That's for our organization to write to other
Yeah.
companies to bring them in, like I said, as intern. So it's not just the biker. The biker just told me, okay, he likes what I'm doing, and then he wants to use this to support. There are other resource people. Myself, I produce paint, so I train people on that. So there are various. I can't be doing
Yeah.
everything. It will be boring. So I try to bring
Oh
different
yes.
faces, different um, uh, people to come train them.
Well, I think I also need to be trained at some point. So maybe I will come to your organization. I don't know what type of training. I'm going to go through your website again and all your social
I said
profiles and
graphics.
see
You want
what
me to
type of
call it?
training it is.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Oh, you can train me on graphics. That would be fine. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, graphics,
Right now
photography.
it's one of the highest paying graphics is one of the highest paying self-employed positions in the world right now because there's so much going on. People need printed material all the time. People need graphics to get their messages out. People need to brand their products. People need to brand their services. So being a
Sure.
graphic artist, I mean, that's top notch. Maybe
It
I
will be a
will come
plus.
over and I'll come and
Sure.
get
You're
that
most
training
welcome.
sometime soon. Thank you so much, Splendor. It's been a pleasure having you on tonight. And we hope that we'll
Likewise.
have you on again sometime soon. Probably after your next series of awards. We'll call you back
There you
again. You
go.
can also tell me
There you go.
about those awards and what your experience is like getting so many awards, in so short a time. In 3 years,
I'm
you've done
organizing an award
fantastically
next
well.
year. Probably I'll give you one because you deserve it. You've been doing awesomely well, trust me. Habib,
What have I
you
done?
are no, 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 trust me. It's a beautiful initiative. I like what you're doing. If the youth can have you address them, talk to them, because trust me, this pandemic has really, really drilled a lot of people. People are losing it. A lot of people have
Oh,
lost
wow.
their job. People are losing their mind. There's this guy I saw a post, and there's this Wazobia staff that was sacked, and then he committed suicide. So a whole lot of things are happening. So the youths are losing it. So that's why you talked on something that when the youth want to get it fast, like they don't want to start small. I keep
Yeah,
telling people, don't be too forward, because you bring your future to your present. Always start somewhere, start small, so you can have
yeah,
a process. You can defend it. You can tell people, you can encourage people with your storyline. It wasn't easy, like you said at the beginning, but this is how 5 years you were good. I mean, you were laughing. That's because you were
yeah.
consistent, you were focused. So a lot of youths are losing it now, but you bringing up the youth, bringing up people, talking to them, inspiring them, watching me too. I mean, one last word for the youth. Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
You know, I've said a lot of things on what I do and on my organization, but the solutions that I have for the youth this night is that, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. We can hear you.
Yeah, to find out best graduates can convert their education. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. You can.
All right. First thing is for the youth to find out how best the government, sorry, how best graduates can convert their education into intellectual productive venture in order to bring out the best in an individual. You know, most of the graduates, most of the students, the youth, what they focus more on is the certificates. There should also be a skill afterwards, because certificates now doesn't count. It is certificates, what you
Oh
have,
yeah.
what you can offer to the society, right? And then they should provide graduates with training and support necessary to help them establish a career in a small and medium scale. After school they should organize something where they could be Smith and are doing something similar, but they are giving loan to start up business, which is also not bad. I love them. I It's really, really encouraging. Giving them loan, at least that you can know that you have to be very serious on that, have something to do. And then finally, education is to produce graduates of international standard with appropriate knowledge and skill in their field of
Yeah.
study, will be highly employable and to employ themselves. It's not just to go to school, have a skill. Because when you come out, there's nothing. You know, people keep telling you there's job out there. There is no job. You just have to be skillful. You need to think out of the box, like I said. I studied business admin. What I'm doing now is off what I studied. But I have to move. I have to keep going. So a lot of youth have to be skillful. I travel down to Enugu State. I see lots of mango, oranges wasting. The Benue State governor can just have a company where he can employ you to extract and make juice, fresh juice, mango
Yeah.
juice, orange juice. That could help curb the rate of unemployment and crime rate in Benue State. And trust me, if he can start that, other states would copy that from him, and it will be a plus to him, because keeping the youth, not providing anything for them, and there are so many graduates every year, something has to be done, you know.
Something does
On my
have to
own
be done.
part, my organization, I'm trying my best to see that I bring the girls, I bring out the youth of the streets, empower them, train them in my little capacity.
That's fantastic. That's
Thank
very,
you.
very fantastic. What we are also hoping to be able to do at some point is to be able to bring together people like yourself and others who are doing great things like yourself and start reaching out to people and giving them trainings. If we can support them financially to attain those certifications that are needed, especially professional certifications, we will definitely do that. We have seen
Nice.
one or two small innovations or initiatives that a few people have done. We spoke to somebody who is doing something similar to yourself, but not exactly what you're doing, where he set up a theater and he's been training young kids in his neighborhood,
Amazing.
special effects or special effects for short videos, how to create props for films and that kind of stuff. And
Nice.
they blew my mind. And he's been doing it from his own pocket and he's been doing it for several years, even though that is not his primary business. His primary business is the furniture maker. And then from there, he actually started something called the Excel Theater. So if you're watching this and you've never heard of them, you can check them up on social media. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram and all of that. We love them very deeply because of the fact that they're doing so much. And the youngest member of the group is actually 8 years old.
Whoa, that's
Oh, yes.
magnificent. Whoa, it's
You understand what I'm
impressive.
saying?
It's
For them to
impressive.
have somebody that young and they've been able to keep her engaged. They've been able to hold her attention long enough for her to
Catch
consistently
them
be
young.
there because she's been with them for 3 years. She started when she was 5 years old.
Whoa.
So they're developing skills every day. They're also going through martial arts trainings as well and all that so that they can make their craft look as realistic as possible. So we look at people like that and we keep telling ourselves that we need to do something to support these people. And we definitely are working on it. We are working in the direction of bringing in people who have a little influence. We don't know, we are not influential people, so we don't really know influential people. We can only reach out to them and we can appeal to them to help out, in our drive to get as many people, young people, as engaged as possible so that they can be self-employed and then they'll be able to generate some revenue for themselves and be able to pay tax as well. And hopefully the government will be able to provide a more enabling environment for them to grow in whatever it is that they're doing. So Splendor, thanks so much. We deeply appreciate you taking out the time, even though there was a challenge last interview date. But you did take out the time again today to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. We deeply appreciate that because time is the most valuable thing that anybody has. So you being able to give us your time is deeply appreciated. And like we said, we hope we're going to see you soon enough after your next series of awards, because we know that you are collecting more and more and more and more and more. And you will keep on thriving in what you're doing. So thank you so much. You have a great evening. Have a great night. And we'll see you again on the show.
All right. Good night. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Bye. Thank you. So, Splendor Onuma. A lot of young people are doing some fantastic things, and a lot of people have no idea that those kind of things exist, but they do exist. There are people doing these things. They're giving out their time, they're giving out their efforts, their money, everything to try to raise the awareness, raise the productivity levels of the youth in Nigeria who are largely unemployed and who have become very restless. Hence the End SARS movement that started. And we also the result of that, in as much as it was a brilliant initiative, people wanting change, people wanting things to move forward and improve for them. We saw how hoodlums hijacked it. And that is the risk factor of asking for change in any environment. When you're asking for change, you have to also realize that change has to be managed. Now, in the course of that, we're going to say two people. Our campaign against rape is still not over. We are still on it. We are still very worried about the high rate of rape. When we're talking to Splendor a few minutes ago, she also mentioned an incident that happened very recently where a girl who was exposed to the elements because of the poverty level was hawking whatever fruits it was, and then somebody took advantage of her. It is abominable to do things like that. What we are praying for is for people to be able to get up and say, you know what, this pandemic called rape has to end. So we keep saying no to rape, and we hope that you do the same by using the hashtags say no to rape, or hashtag no excuse to keep saying this pandemic has to stop. And I call it a pandemic because it's not a Nigerian thing, it's a global thing. But in Nigeria, the figures can drive you insane because 1 out of 4 women, that's 25% of the female population of Nigeria, because they are the age of 18, experience sexual abuse, i.e. rape. So we would love it if you could support us as well, not financially, just speaking out against rape. Also, before we go, we'd like to remind you that COVID-19 is still very real. The United States today had the highest numbers of deaths in one day, 2,800 plus, in just 1 day. So COVID-19 is still very real. Maybe there's something in this part of the world that's keeping most people safe. And when I say this part of the world, I'm talking of Nigeria, Africa. Maybe something's keeping them safe. So that's why we don't have such heavy amounts, because as of today in Abuja, the figures were about 1,600 and something infections. But still, that is still a high number. Anybody that is ill can tell you that it's good to have good health. So please stay safe. Wash your hands as often as possible. Wear a face mask at all times. It's a much, much better solution than getting vaccinated. I'm not saying don't get vaccinated. You should get vaccinated if you want to. But use a face mask as often as you can, especially when you're in public spaces or public places. And maintain the safe distance, which is the 2 meters that has been recommended, so that we can keep the COVID-19 figures as low as possible. And hopefully there will be eradication at some point of the COVID-19. We wish you all a blessed weekend. See you on the next show. I won't be available for it next weekend, but we do have a show coming up that's recorded. But you will love the guests that we're going to have on. So don't miss it. And see you next time around. Good night.